Today I wanted to show you how I make my poinsettia, and I have had a lot of questions about Christmas flowers and poinsettias, and I was working on something that didn't look too, I wanted it more realistic, so to speak, and it's really hard when you're using just cardstock, so this is my best take on it, and I hope that it comes close to expectations. What I have here is a 3.5 inch wide circle. I freehanded this circle so it's not completely circular, but it works just fine. And I have a template that I cut out specifically for the poinsettia. It looks like template 22, so if you actually have this template, you can just make it with that template. The reason why I did something different is because of the shape. If you have template 5, you can also make something similar. I think it mimics it enough, because you could do, I do have some leaves on the side that I was going to show at the end, but template 5 looks similar to this. And if you made poinsettias with the technique that I will show you here, but in this shape, it'll look just similar. I think it's more important to get that dark red paper and just make it so that it looks like it's a poinsettia leaf rather than any other flower. But this is a template that I created for it. And in terms of paper, this particular red is from Michael's, and it's the red paper pack. I really like it because it's a nice deep red, it's not too bright, and you can get 50 pieces for about $5 regular price, but usually a lot cheaper. This is 65-pound cardstock. If you don't have that exact weight, you can use anything close to that. But what I have here is I have 5 pieces in a 6-inch tall petal, and then I have another 5 pieces in a 5.5-inch tall petal. And these I've already prepped at least halfway, but essentially I will show you kind of what I do with this flower to make it look a little bit more realistic. Is I simply fold it in half. I take my bone folder, I'll edit in the name and also link to where you can find it, but I use this to curl my petals. You can also use it to score. So I will use that to press a line into the petal like this, but then I can also use it to sort of draw those veins in the petals that you normally see in a real life flower. So I'm just pressing somewhat hard, but not too hard that it goes through, and it gets this sort of veiny look. I'm not sure if the camera picks it up. I'm hoping that it picks it up, but I simply do that with both sides of the petal. It doesn't need to be exact. If you want it to be, then you can use a ruler to get that nice straight line. The trick here is that if you do it on something soft like a pillowcase and then on the carpet, that works really well. If you're just doing it on a blanket, that works, and you don't necessarily need this tool to do it. I think you can use maybe like an empty mechanical pencil, like without the lead in it, and you can press hard enough. Maybe a butter knife, something that has an edge but won't poke through the paper. And so essentially what I do is I take a pair of scissors and then I cut a line about 2 inches long, and I want the poinsettia petal to lay somewhat flat, so that's why I want a longer line. If you're going to cut it too short, the petal will sit upright a little bit too much, at least more so than what normal poinsettias look like. So make sure you get a nice long line, and then you can just overlap a little bit, and it just has a gentle lift in the petal. And then the next thing is just simply to glue the petals, the flaps together. So I add a very slight amount and then overlap it just a tiny bit. Okay, so I will do that for all these petals. I'll just kind of skip forward. Okay, so now that I got all my petals glued together, where I glued the 2 flaps together, I can just lay them out and glue them to the circle, starting with the largest layer. And You can use a pentagon if you wish, if that helps with the placement of the petals. But I like to lay them out first so that I space them evenly enough. And then just glue them to this circle base. I am gluing them about 3/4 of an inch into the circle. And of course then you just put your last layer. And what you can do from this point on is you can use different sizes of petals so that you can mimic that poinsettia look where they have some petals that are larger than others, you know, in the center. There's some that are smaller and some are bigger. I would have done that except that my Silhouette Cameo, I purchased a new one, and it's a newer version that has all these bells and whistles, except that it needs to be updated every now and then, and it decided not to update. And so in the middle of cutting all these out, my machine no longer works. And there were other ways around it. I just thought I can't get my machine to work, and I promised out this video, so it's good enough. But essentially you can add in smaller petals in the middle and sort of vary the look to make it look like a true poinsettia. So the next one I could probably use is maybe 3-4 inch tall ones, and then maybe a couple, 1 or 2 small 3.5 inch ones in the middle, so that it looks not so uniform like this, where I'm gradually decreasing the petal sizes, but just give it, you know, that more realistic look. And so I freehand cut these green leaves. I did the same thing where I took my bone folder and drew in those veins for the flowers. You can always add them underneath. You can also glue them first if you decide. I just thought that it would throw me off here. But essentially I have this gold glitter center that I filmed just before this, and I want to add that on to this flower. So what I did is actually went back and finished in the flowers, and so the first layer was 6 inches tall, and then the second layer was 5.5 inches tall. So I added another layer that was 5 inches tall, and then I have this middle layer here which has 4-inch tall petals, and then 3.5. So I'm offset the sizes here so they can look more like a poinsettia with the different sized leaves, since it's not uniform typically. And so this is what the finished flower looks like. I hope that it meets the expectations. Please let me know if there are any questions. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.